The story starts in 2014. Russia annexes Crimea, sending a clear message to Europe borders can change by force. The Baltic states Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania suddenly realize they're on the front line. In 2016, at the Warsaw Summit, NATO responds enhanced forward presence. 4 battle groups deploy along the eastern border. The UK leads in Estonia, Germany and Lithuania, the US in Poland, and Canada takes Latvia. In 2017, about 500 Canadian troops first arrive at Adaji. It's just a small battle group battalion size serving as a symbolic deterrent. But over 8 years, this force quietly grows. More equipment, more personnel, more partners. Then comes February 2022. Russia invades Ukraine in full force. At the Madrid summit that same year, NATO makes a decision battle groups aren't enough anymore. They need brigades, real combat-capable brigades, not just symbols. Canada commits hard increased forces to 2,200 troops. By 2026, invest 230 million Canadian dollars, build the most modern maintenance facility in the region. October 17th, 2024, the NATO multinational brigade Latvia officially stands up. Latvia becomes the first nation on the eastern border to reach brigade level. And Canada, not the US, not Germany, is leading it. Leading 3,500 troops from 14 nations isn't simple. This isn't one unified army. This is 14 different languages trying to communicate in combat situations. This is 14 weapon systems, 14 types of ammunition, 14 completely different maintenance supply chains. Each nation brings its own military traditions, its own doctrine, and more importantly, 14 governments, 14 parliaments with their own legal restrictions on what their militaries can and cannot do. November 2024. Exercise Resolute Warrior kicks off the first brigade level exercise. This is the first time in 30 years Canada commands a full brigade on European soil. 13 nations participate. The mission sounds simple: move in sync, coordinate firepower, respond to threats. But in reality, each unit has to learn to understand each other. Polish troops use different hand signals than Spanish troops. Czech armored vehicles need different fuel than Canadian ones. A simple order like "move east" has to be translated, confirmed, and adjusted through multiple command levels. Canada found a solution by embracing the complexity. The common command language is English, but Canadian officers trained to understand the military culture of all 13 partners. They don't impose one model. They integrate best practices from all 14 nations. Monthly exercises, coordinating 14 different supply chains, respecting each country's political limits. Canada's leadership philosophy is collaboration, not domination. March 2024. After more than 200 years of neutrality, Sweden officially joins NATO. Just 1 month later, in April 2024, Stockholm makes a surprising decision. Their first NATO deployment won't be in Poland under US command. Not Estonia with the UK. Not Lithuania with Germany. They choose Latvia under Canadian leadership. January 18th, 2025. 600 Swedish troops arrive at Adaji base. The plan, they'll rotate every 6 months with Danish forces creating a continuous presence in Latvia. February 7th, Canadian Defense Minister Bill Blair announces Sweden's participation marks an important milestone, being their first major NATO deployment less than a year after joining the alliance. But why did Sweden choose Canada? Defense analysts offer several reasons. First, both Canada and Sweden are Arctic nations sharing experience operating in extreme conditions. Second, Sweden has deep expertise in the Baltic Sea, a region where Russia is increasing naval activity. Third, Canada has proven stable leadership in Latvia since 2017, maintaining commitment despite changes in government. But there's a less discussed reason. International observers suggest Sweden is looking for a middle ground partner not too tied to Washington, not carrying the weight of European imperial history. Canada represents a different model, a middle power with clear commitment but no domination. A nation that can lead without ruling. November 2025. Exercise Resolute Warrior Round 2. This time 14 nations including Sweden participate. This is the largest deployment ever conducted outside Adaji base. The message is crystal clear. The eastern border isn't just being guarded, it's being reinforced. Here's a question many analysts ask: why not America? Washington is still NATO's biggest military power with a defense budget many times larger than all other members combined. But on the eastern border, leadership is being allocated by a different logic. The US leads a battle group in Poland, but Washington's commitment to Europe has always been uncertain. January 2025, reports surface about plans to withdraw 20,000 US troops from Europe, plans not yet executed, but enough to create instability. Before that, former President Donald Trump repeatedly threatened to pull out of NATO if allies didn't increase defense spending. International observers note that Washington is focused on other global commitments, the Pacific, the Middle East competition with China. Europe, according to many analysts, is no longer the top priority. Canada, on the other hand, offers a different model. From 2017 to now, no matter which government is in power, liberal or conservative, the commitment to Latvia hasn't changed. August 2025, Prime Minister Mark Carney extends Operation Reassurance for another 3 years. 230 million Canadian dollars already invested. The second-line maintenance facility worth $58 million, spanning 17,000 square meters, capable of servicing armored vehicles for the entire brigade, is Canada's largest overseas military infrastructure project in decades. The numbers tell the story. Right now, Canada deploys about 1,500 troops in Latvia. The 2026 target 2,200 troops. Germany commits to sending 5,000 troops to Lithuania by 2027, but progress is slow. The UK maintains a battle group in Estonia with plans to upgrade to a light brigade, but as of late 2024, only Canada, a middle power, not a superpower, has completed the upgrade to brigade level. Defense experts say this is a lesson in commitment. The biggest nation isn't always the most reliable. Sometimes stability comes from countries with fewer global interests, but more reasons to stay. The eastern border is no longer symbolic. In 2025, Russia violates NATO airspace multiple times. Reconnaissance aircraft flying close to borders warships operating near Estonian and Latvian territorial waters. September 2025. NATO launches Operation Eastern Sentry, a continuous surveillance campaign along the border from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. Meanwhile, the Baltic Defense Line is under construction, a defensive system combining fortifications, radar, and firepower running along all 3 Baltic states. In this context, Canada's role means more than troop numbers. International observers suggest Ottawa is proving a new model middle powers can lead collective security without becoming superpowers. Unlike the US, Canada has no global ambitions. Unlike France or Britain, Canada carries no imperial baggage. This creates an unexpected advantage. Smaller nations like Albania or Montenegro feel treated as equal partners, not dependents. Many analysts ask, can this model scale? If Canada can lead 14 nations in Latvia, could Australia do the same in the Pacific? Could Norway, South Korea, or Poland take on framework nation roles in regional alliances? The answer isn't clear yet, but the precedent is set. But there are risks. Canada is committing 2,200 troops, $230 million, and long-term infrastructure thousands of kilometers from home. If tensions escalate, does Ottawa have the resources to sustain this? If a real crisis hits, can 14 nations coordinate quickly under actual combat pressure? And more importantly, if the US decides to pull back from NATO, a scenario many once thought impossible but now seems less far-fetched, can Canada and European allies hold the eastern border? These aren't hypothetical questions. These are calculations NATO general staffs face every day. And at Adagi, among 3,500 troops from 14 nations, Canada is writing the answer not with words, but with presence. From 500 troops in 2017 to 3,500 troops from 14 nations in 2025. From a symbolic battle group to the first combat brigade on the eastern border, Canada isn't a superpower, but it's proven that commitment isn't measured by size. It's measured by consistency. No leadership model is perfect. America is strong, but unstable. Europe is wealthy, but fragmented. Canada is smaller, but it stays. And in a world of global uncertainty, that might be what matters most. The question remains open. Can middle powers lead collective security? Can this model survive when tensions really escalate? At Adagi, among white snow and cold borders, the answer is being written not in theory, but in presence. If you found this video useful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more deep dive analysis. This content is analytical in nature, compiled from public sources. It contains no classified information or official views of any government or organization.